please welcome Mr. Red Wemette.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Hello, folks. And today is June 19th, 2023. I hope all you dads had a wonderful Father's Day. Enjoyed yourself. Hey, Tim Foster. Timothy Foster, how you doing? Tony Johnson. Dave M., how you doing, buddy? Tommy Bridges. We got Scott H. And we have a visitor from Detroit, Justin Ty. Casper says hello. We have Julie M. Bill Crowley. How you doing, folks? Rhonda, how you doing? The Italian cowgirl. President accounted for. It's a good day. A little bit of rain here. A lot of rain here. A little bit, that's a lie. A lot of rain here. Jim Jagger. It's going fine, guy. Thank you. And we have MJP. How you doing, buddy? Hello, Casper. How you doing? All right. Got to mention Joe here. Chicago Joe. Mr. Crowley. That's an amazing Ozzy song. You need rain there in Wisconsin? I wish I could send you some up. Endangered species. How you doing? Thanks for your wishes and hopes. I didn't wash away yet. The lightning bothers me, though. We went without power this morning. Anyway, folks, do me a favor. If you can, hit that like button. I need all the help I can get. Okay, endangered species, where are you located with your drought or crazy rain? Excuse me. Endangered species. All you got to do is type it in geographically. You don't have to give the state if you don't want to. You don't have to give the city if you don't want to. Give me a general region if you want to. Oh, Oregon, Mount Hood. Yep. I know what you're talking about now. Tim Peroni. There we go. How you doing, buddy? Well, as the thumbnail says, my story is what you don't know, or you might not know, about the adult entertainment business and the mob's influence on it. It goes back a long, long ways. It goes very far back. But I'm not going to go back into history. I'm not going to talk about things I don't know about. I'm going to talk about something I do know about. And as far back as 1938 that I know of, I worked in a club in the 60s that opened in 1938. It was called the Nocturne. And it was done with adult entertainment. And that's what we're talking about here today, adult entertainment. And that particular club, the Nocturne, was on Burton Street, Burton Place. And it was opened in 1938. So that's something that the gentleman there that owned it was pretty well on in his age by the time I worked for him. But I was a bartender there. So that's as much as I actually know about that adult entertainment. There were other adult entertainments. I worked at so many at bartending, but there was a lot of adult entertainment in Chicago itself that I had a real good eye view of. And another piece was not only the buy the lady a drink girl places, but they had stripper bars. They had all different kinds of things. Yeah, Chicago Joe, the Black Dahlia of LA. Yeah, it was. Hello to Motor City, Justin. How you doing? Jim, I hope you get some rain out there and let them crops go. That's where the tall corn grows. Thank you, buddy. So anyway, getting back to the mob's influence, it always influenced it from day one. Anything that was vice, the mob took a piece of. The outfit, they took a piece of it. So when I decided that I would fill in for somebody at a pornography shop, a porn shop called the Over 21 Bookstore, I realized something. And what I realized was that the amount of money that came into that store was outrageous compared to what came into the bars. The bars made good money. Don't get me wrong. All those places make good money. But when I saw one shift of 8 hours and it was open for 24, pull in $8, $10, $15, $1,000, $8, $10 to $15,000 in one shift. They had to drop money in the drop box. They had to drop money like every 2-3 hours. That was a lot of cash. Therefore, I decided that I didn't want to be a bartender anymore. So what did I do? I decided to go into business, but I didn't jump into it. I didn't jump into it at all. I let it be known that I wanted to go into business. And it just so happened that Kurt Hansen came around to see me at Bill Niff's at the Nocturne. And that's how I got into it. After I got into it, and I saw what was being made, and Marshall Cafano was my partner. We all had partners. Everybody had a partner. They took a piece of you. If they didn't, they put you out of business. I know sometimes you see the old movies where there's a bomb in the window and it explodes. Might have been a dry cleaner, might have been anything. But the truth of the matter was, that was the untold influence that they had. Now, one of the things that I saw in influence that was basically untold, but I was buying some, I don't know what you call them, devices that would change channels. And you could have 16 channels in one video booth. And I went to MCRA in Kansas City. I called him on the phone. And we developed a very good relationship. After talking to them for a while and meeting one of them at a consumer electronics show in Chicago, when they had the CES show there instead of Las Vegas, it was over at McCormick Place, and talking to the one guy, he told me that Meyer Lansky was his backer. He put up the money for it, made millions selling the equipment, but all the way it was influenced by Chicago. Another little known fact that you don't know, I'm sure you don't know. It may even say something to you in one way or another. During my conversations with Frank Schweiss, he talked about Murphy Dunn. That's George Dunn's son. And he picked up the phone and called Los Angeles, and Murphy Dunn was in Los Angeles, and he was a distributor. He distributed pornography. So even if you were a politician, you might have been controlled by the outfit and its influence. We're having questions already. Jim Jagger. Hey, whatever happened to Richard Cafano? I have no idea. That guy doesn't want any part of me, and he certainly doesn't keep up with me. I suppose if I looked under the yellow pages or Googled him up, he might come up as an attorney. He was an attorney. Don't know. How you doing, Roy? Guys and gals watching, you're in Ireland. Yep. Yeah, that's about his age, 83 years old. Jim. He's about 83. His father was Rocky Cafano. And I met him through Marshall. I think you all know that story. Our Italian cowgirl here. Rhonda. Red, I think there's only one or two bookstores left along Manheim Road. Can't understand how they're still around with the internet porn available. Well, I can tell you, Rhonda, I can answer that question. Occasionally you'll find one or two of them, and it seems that when I look at them, they have booths, and people go into those booths, and they don't just watch movies in those booths. They do other things. That's why there's still one or two around here and there. But generally speaking, most of the people want to watch pornography, watch it over the internet. It's very private, it's very comfortable, and more palatable, obviously. But getting back to the influence, it was everywhere in the beginning, and it's everywhere now. Sean Pender. Hey, Red, you remember Jimmy's restaurant strip club in Chicago Heights? No, I really don't. I never paid attention to it, Sean. When I was in the Heights, I never looked at it. Roy Munson. Hey, Red, a great friend of mine. Oh, I'm sorry to hear this guy. A great friend of mine passed away. His name was Dave. He loved your videos, but was illiterate, unfortunately, so he never got to tell you. He watched your shows weekly on his TV. Thanks, mate. Thank you. Thank you. God bless him, and I hope he's at peace wherever he is. God bless you, Roy. Keith Elton. Hi, Red. Remind me, who was your competitor that Paul Wickham alluded to back in the day? Happy Father's Day to you yesterday. in the very beginning of this video, I said, all you folks, all you guys that are dads, I hope you had a very, very happy Father's Day yesterday. And thank you, Keith. And as far as what Paul Whitcomb alluded to, my only competitor that I had was Capital News. That was the only competitor that I had. It was that's the way it was. And the guy that owned that was, I would say, the king of porn. It was Ruben Sturman out of Cleveland. And he controlled everything from New York to Los Angeles as far as pornography went at one time. He produced it. He hired people to produce it. He brought it in from the Netherlands. He brought in some stuff that was totally illegal, and he got busted for it. He went to prison, and David took over. David Sturman. And the Chicago branch, which was called Capital News, the main branch was Sovereign News in Cleveland, Ohio. But everybody grabbed a piece of them no matter where they went. But Ruben didn't mind giving up a piece. He'd open up a store here, a store there. He'd have 50 stores. Somebody else would have maybe one apiece, 8 more in the whole town. He'd have 50 of them. So he grabbed the lion's share. He had the money to do it. That's the way it was. I get a kick out of Rhonda. Yikes, that makes sense, Red. Yeah, that's right there, Rhonda. I would know. I was in the business. Michael Graham, how you doing, buddy? The rest of we metters, yeah, better late than never. Hit that like button. Come on, do me a favor. Chicago Joe, Murphy Dunn, wasn't he in the Blues Brothers? Murph and the Magic Tones? I don't know if he was or not. I really don't. Jim Jagger, when Ruben Sturman passed away, his son took over, David Sturman. And he was a son of a gun. He really was. Quite a guy. I never got along with David at all. And some of those minions that they sent out, like in Chicago, when Ruben was indicted, they had Paula Lawrence, who was his mistress, go on the license in Chicago. She came from Cleveland. And when she went on the licenses, she was on all of them. She owned the real estate. Her name was on the property. She had every adult use license. He gets out of prison. Guess what? I want my property back. She said, oh no. I took all the heat from the FBI. I took all the heat from the IRS. I took all the heat from everything. You're not getting it back. And she never did give it back. Never. Tim Peroni. Have you ever heard of the name Robert the Enforcer? You asked me this before, buddy. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. Timothy Foster. Did women visit shops back then, or was it mostly dirty men? Dirty old men, dirty young men? Occasionally. Several times I had pimps come to the door, and they had their ladies with them. And I would tell them ahead of time, that ain't going to happen here. It's just not going to happen. You're not going in the back room. He said, well, I got money. You pull out $100 bill. I said, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Get out of here. Go home. Roy Munson, did the Alpha try and persuade you to push porn such as Deep Throat? No. None of the big ones. They didn't try to make me push any of those big films. I pushed them myself because they were big sellers and they made money. Debbie Does Dallas, Deep Throat, Behind the Green Door, all the classics. I pushed them myself. And believe me, I made good money on them. I really did. I didn't like the business though. It's a very bad business. Announcement time. Jim Jager. Robert, how you doing? 0969. How you doing, buddy? Don't forget to hit that like button now. Come on. George Wilson. How you doing? Good to see you. I don't know what exactly you're talking about, Julie, but good for her, my kind of lady. Yeah, we didn't get ladies came in. That was it. They didn't come in. It just didn't happen. Robert 0969 is watching from Las Vegas. Vegas, baby. Vegas. Michael Graham, Donald Duck Dunn was a guitar player from Booker T and the MGs. I remember Booker T and the MGs. I really do. I got a song going through my head right now. It's called Shotgun. I don't know if you remember that, Michael Graham. Shotgun. I like that jazz. I really did. Funny, Red, when I was in high school, I used to sell porn burned into discs. I had teachers. To buy me everything until a parent had me arrested. Right. You had one heck of a childhood. Really. That's interesting as hell. You know, Sean, I wanted to have Jimmy Calandra on today, but I didn't have enough time to notify him and set up a schedule. And if I do, it might not be at this time because he's on the Eastern time zone. And I don't know specifically what he's going to do in the day, but I am trying to put something together with him. I'd really appreciate it. Rhonda, yeah, I remember Dickie Dunn from the from the movie Slapshot. Dickie Dunn was the newspaper reporter, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't he, Rhonda? Yeah, Dickie Dunn said it was here. It's in the paper. It's real. Good movie, Slapshot. I liked it. JW. Behind the Looking Glass was a big one back in the day. Yeah, it was. Robert, 0969. Got my like in. Let's go, guys. Get them likes in. Love it. Love it, guy. Thank you. Deborah Day. You know, I don't remember seeing you, Deborah. How are you doing today? Nice day in California. That's good. That's very good. Hope you're enjoying it. Yes, I remember Tracy Lawrence in the 80s. Yes. Endangered species. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Thank you very much. I had several people call me yesterday. Mobbed Up Podcast. Hi, how you doing, guy? You're saying hi to me. I'm saying hi back at you. Hit that like button. I need all the help I can get. Hey, Red, did you ever consider owning a strip club? I not only considered it, I opened one. It was the Club Cicero, 1247 South Cicero Avenue in Cicero. That was my joint. And it was a rough joint, very rough joint. Uh, our girls were behind the bar. We didn't put them up on go-go stands, up on out with the rest of the people. We kept them behind the bar, and I had two bouncers there, and they both had baseball bats. It was a very, very, very rough joint, very rough. Julie M., the lady that would not give the store back after taking care of it while he was in prison. That was I'm trying to think of her name right now. Paula Lawrence. Paula Lawrence. And she controlled everything that Capital News owned. That was Paula Lawrence. She lived at Lake Point Towers. Mike Galita, his brother, Marco Galita, put a bomb underneath their Mercedes 500 SL. And it was a remote control device. And he hired an ATF agent to do it, went to prison over it. But they wanted to get to Paul, and they never did. They couldn't get to her. I just mentioned it, Mike. Booker T and the MG, shotgun. Yeah, I remember it. Had the organ right there, shotgun. Da, da, da. Yeah, I remember it. Now, I don't remember it being by Junior and the All Stars, but I remember it being by Booker T and the MGs. But there's, there was covers. People did covers. Mr. Tony Two Dogs, how you doing today? Hi, Red. Onions was another big hit for Booker T. Yes, it was. Booker T and the MGs. Trace, how you doing, buddy? Got a lot of people in here today. That's great. That's really great. Glad to see every one of you. Yes, it is true. Mop that podcast. I did, Red. That means he hit the button. Thank you, buddy. What happened, Red? You're frozen? Well, I'm not frozen here. Could it be your device, Tony? Anybody else having problems seeing me? Am I freezing up in any way whatsoever? Please tell me if I am. Scott H., you're finally back over in Jacksonville. Got home from Georgia. Julie M says I'm not frozen. Everybody else says I'm not frozen. Okay. We only have one person. Misty, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a long time. Good to see you. Booker T and the MGs. Yeah, you would remember. No, JW, I never had any of them come by. I'll tell you why. Because they always charge the fee. They always charge the fee. And I was cheap. I wasn't going to pay anybody. That's the way it worked. That's the way I was. Frozen margaritas, maybe, right? Okay. George Wilson, I'm coming through good. I should be. I got the new internet now. Rhonda. Oh, yes. Why do you ask, Two Dogs? I got you, Rhonda. Rhonda wants to know what's up, Misty. What's up, sister? How much were the girls charging the stars? Exorbitant fees. Exorbitant. You couldn't make your money back. Couple grand a night. I mean, it was more than I wanted to pay. At one time, I did want to pay Marilyn Chambers, but it wasn't worth it. I looked into it. So as far as the underworld, the underbelly of the business, it was controlled by the mob. Yeah, it was. It was a lot of money back then. You know who paid for people to come was the Admiral Theater, and they really took a beating on it. They really did. Hi, Rhonda. No, it's not because my name is Tony. I have two dogs. Congratulations, Tony, two dogs. Red, who's your internet with now? It's with a I don't know. It comes in on a cable, and it's supposed to be 500 megabytes per second, but it was, I don't know. The other one, I wasn't getting 1.23, and that was my phone company. Let's get back up. Gabby, how you doing? Gabby Rodriguez, good to see you. Hit that like button, please, please, please. Scott H. Question: who did you pay your street tax to? I started out by paying Marshall Cafano when he wasn't available. Why do you have to ask these complicated questions? They're in my book. I started out paying Marshall Cafano. When he wasn't available, I paid Johnny Rogers. When he wasn't available, I paid Phil Amato. When he wasn't available, I dropped the envelope off at Joey Lombardo's. Different times, all different people. That's your answer, buddy. Scott, I met a lot of adult film gals at the Consumer Electronics. Yes, you did. I That's what I was talking about. You met everybody there. They were there. A lot of fun. Got to see a lot of the stars. Robert 0969. You mentioned you had a strip bar. How long did that last? The Club Cicero, it lasted about 3 years, and they decided it was the whole street was out. We called it the Strip. It was on Cicero Avenue in Cicero. Down the street from me was Nicky Kokinas. He had the MGM Grand, and there were other places all the way along there. I mean, it was all mob control, period. But without my knowledge, when I wasn't there one day, I had a revolving door in the front. It just went around in circles. And inside, there was like a place, a little tiny room. It was all glass where you could see through it. But there was a little tiny room in there where the cold weather didn't come in the winter. And, it kept the air conditioning or the heating from escaping. And what happened was they decided to shotgun somebody in my mezzanine. And that was the end of that. Liquor license was gone. Everything was gone. I wouldn't answer any questions. The Cicero police never did come. The Cook County police finally came. And I don't know the name of the guy. When I got there, the place was empty. There was nobody there. And I just waited till the police showed up. George Wilson. Hi, Misty. You ever check out the veteran bikers on his show, Rogers, Arkansas? Pig Trail, HD Sales and Service. I don't know, Misty, did you? Gabby Rodriguez, you're doing fine. Are you doing good? I'm happy to hear that, buddy. Keith Elton, every time you super glue in a store, you laugh your ass off. I don't doubt it. I came up with some very unique ways. It wasn't always super glue. Sometimes it was crazy glue. Remember those old commercials where the guy had the hard hat on and he'd be up against the beam and he'd say crazy glue and he was kicking his legs? That reminded me a lot of my victims. Oh, it was something else. Sean Pender, what was the consequences in a strip club if you touched the girls? Ooh. Usually you got a good slap in the head and you went out the door without using your hands. That's the best way to describe it. Misty, Duck and Dunn was a bass player. Okay. Bass player influences was one of yours. Okay. Part of your band, Misty? I don't doubt it. Misty's got an autographed poster by Seika. Actually, Misty and I knew each other way back in the day. Is it okay to say this, Misty? Tell me to shut up if you don't want me to talk. Misty, are you there? Just type in something, please. Oh, that's where you got it, Misty. You work part-time in the Museum of Erotic History here in Vegas. Okay. That's where you got it. I thought you might have got it in Chicago. Misty, I believe, to the best of my knowledge, I don't want to say anything out of school here, but I first met Misty when Misty was working for Capital News in Chicago. It was a long time ago. Pete Byron, how'd you know who to go and talk to get permission to go into business? Kurt Hansen came and told me we got to go see Jimmy Couture. And we went to see Jimmy Couture, and he says, "No, I don't like that. I don't like that at all." And he said, "Go see Joy. He's a nice boy. He'll take care of you." What years did you own the club? That was back in 1971. It's after I talked to the FBI, and it lasted 3 years. Hope that answers your question, Casper. Um, Lieutenant Mingler was the license officer in Cicero. I got a kick out of it. He never fingerprinted me. He never took my picture. I walked in, he gave me the license. That was it. Damn, what a way you get stripped. Your strip club. I imagine you were not given anything back from the outfit as consolation. Uh, I don't know where you're going with that one, but it sounds funny. Mobbed Up Broadcast, great show. Thank you, Red. You're welcome, Mobbed Up Broadcast. I got to get over and see you guys too. George Wilson, remember Matt Guitar Murphy? He got married to his old lady and had a soul food place on Maxwell Street. No, I don't. Maybe some of the guests do. Keith Elton, how'd you feel when you told Tony S about being an FBI mole? You told him the truth. Yes, I did. And it was very casually. I'd had a lot to drink. I was very relaxed. So I guess, Keith, you could say I was relaxed. I didn't know exactly what his reaction was going to be. I really didn't. But he took it off very cavalier, very, very cavalier. When I said, "There's something I have to tell you, Tony," I told him, I said, "I'm a mole for the FBI. I'm an FBI mole." And he turned around and looked at me for a second. He said, "No shit." I said, "Yeah." We never spoke of it again. That was it. But we also never spoke about business, period. We just didn't. Misty's passing a message on to Robert 0969. You're semi-retired. Not she doing anything these days. Okay. God bless you, Misty. Tommy Bridges. I read she got married with some hockey pro after Life After Porn. You know, a lot of these gals when they leave porn, Is there a life after porn? Who knows? And Tommy Bridges says, yes, he read it too. Okay. You guys both know it. And now you've announced it to the rest of the world. You know, you guys are the show. One of these days, I'm going to have a show about the show. And it's going to be you people that we talk about. I love you. I love all of you. Every one of you. You're all good to me. And I try to be as good to you and give you as much good information as I can. Nothing bad. Robert 0969. Red, you should like Misty. LOL. Yeah, I do. I do. When I first met Misty, Misty's name was Mike, and he was a pretty capable guy at that time. And his life changed, as all of our lives do sometimes. And Misty was really, really great. Went to the Marine Corps, did a tour, and joined some bikers for a while. And I didn't even know Misty was alive. And then one day, Adam called me and said, there's somebody here that knows you, and from the bookstore. And I said, really? And I said, I don't think so. And then when I first talked to Misty, I didn't recognize him. And after we talked for a while, we exchanged numbers and I talked on the phone. And he remembers me back in the old day. He remembers the way I was and kind of different. Good question, Rhonda. Red, do you think any of the mob kept any control over the porn while it went to the internet? They sure did. They sure did. I take it endangered species is leaving. Ciao, Red. Thanks for the info. God bless you all. God bless you too, endangered species. Get back down here. Red, do you think the mob kept any control over the porn when it went to the internet? Yes, they did. They did it by buying stock. But now, as it sits today, it all changed. It's all owned. It's not owned by the United States. It's all owned by the Czech Republic, which is a communist country. So it's owned by the country itself. They bought out all the stock in it. I believe Xtube is gone. Everything was in one company, one corporation name, Pornhub, no matter what it was. That's the way it was. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, sweetheart. Endangered species. Love you too, Red. Thank you. God bless you. All you folks, you're all saying it. Rhonda. Casper, back at you. Roberto 0969. Little chuckle there. Miss you, Red. You sound like Red. Not doing much. LOL. Okay. Trace, Mr. Wemette, and anyone in the chat. Did I see Peter Santinello's interview with Oscar Goodman, the former Nevada State Senator Michael I don't want to butcher the names here. Sheddier. It was a good interview. I didn't see it. A good mafia boss, Oscar. Yes, very. Scott H wants to know, Misty, if you still ride. Still ride. I assume he means a motorcycle. Misty, Misty, Misty remembers with me back in the day. Red was a don't fuck with me dude back then. I was a little bit more coarse than I am now, you might say. Misty, how about a ride on your bike? Thanks, Rhonda. Scott H. I'm sure he was, considering the company he kept. Yeah, it was a little rough around the edges, Scott. Let's see what Scott H. Now we got Misty. Anytime, Rhonda. And we have Bill Crawley. You can't butcher her name any worse than Adam. I try not to. I really do. I think this is an offer, Misty. Rhonda said you can ride my horse. And you know something? I just happen to know Misty can ride a horse. Sean Pender, did the outfit have any more interest in porn shops than pizzerias? They certainly did. They certainly did. Very much so. The pizzerias never made that kind of money, even the ones that were doing the pizza connection. Okay, Rhonda, I guess you guys are gonna get together and trade deals. But Misty says you got a deal. Casper, I remember there was the Lion's Den, adult bookstore along the expressway in Indiana, where they control anything was controlled by the outfit. Casper, people didn't go into that business if they weren't controlled. If you didn't ask for permission to go into that business, somebody came and took 50% of it, half of it. And if you didn't like the deal, they just blew the store up, or they burned it down, or they killed you. One of the three. That's the way it was. Michigan George. Hello, how you doing, George? Misty's saying hi to the whole room. Hi, Scott H. and all the above. Trey says we have a lot of characters in the chat. Well, that's okay. We need characters. I'm a character. We're all characters. Keith Elton. God loves horses too. You bet he does. You bet he does. Horse has been a big part of my life. Very big part of my life. Red, you remember the French 75 strip joint in Harlem and Lyons? Yes, I do, Scott. I was in Lyons a little bit. Misty, I swear you, I gotta say this, guys. I swear you'd think Red would take your head off any time. Back in the old days, yeah. I was a little bit rough around the edges, Misty. And believe me, Art, didn't you work for Art, your boss? Art was afraid I was going to really hurt him. Really, he came to me and said, um, "You're stealing our machines," because the over 21 had put them in, and we're splitting the take. And they only gave me the 6 channel machines, while they had the 16 channel machines or 8 channel machines. When they had the 16 channel machines, so I decided to go to MCRA, buy my own, and I put those um, devices in there, but I kept their monitors and everything else. And he said, "Are you stealing our machines?" And I said, "No, I'm not stealing your machines. They're right here. Just can't have them. That's all. I'm not taking them anywhere. I'm not going to do anything with them." But it was one of those kind of deals where uh, they screwed me. Not Misty, the company screwed me. And that's my way of getting even. Did they want to fight about it? No, they didn't want to fight about it. Mike, Michigan George, Red, your book says you produced your own porn. Yes, I did. Back in the day when it was very, very difficult to produce it. It was strictly 8 millimeter or 16 millimeter, and there was no sound to it. If it was 16, we split it into 2/8s, but there was no sound to it. Trace, you're getting a kick out of the chat. Okay. Geoff, Red, did Mike Galetta die under the questionable circumstances, or was it a fire, or wasn't it? Mike Galetta was a big part of the porn in Chicago when I was around in the 70s. He actually took over Leo Weintrop's Milwaukee Avenue operation, which was called L&W News Sales. And Mike died in 1987. He died of a heart attack at home in his bed. And that's the way Mike died. It was nothing crazy about that. He went back. Mike went back a long ways. He died early young. He died very young. But he went back back into the 30s, the 42 gang, that sort of thing. He was around way back when. You did work for Central, Misty. Misty said she worked for Central. Okay. Ryan Brown, Deep Throat was produced by the mob. That was the New York mob or LA mob, whatever. It was all put together with help from the mob. Yes, it was. All those main productions were. Who did the copying of the Stag films? That was a lot of work. It certainly was. In those days, I did it. When I first started, it was little paper white boxes, and I'd have titles on them. That was it. Misty, honestly, I got to read this. Honestly, once Red got to know you, he was a really cool guy. Thank you, Misty. Thank you. I tried to be. Keith, I don't know exactly what you're trying to tell me. An octopus has 8 tentacles. Okay. Octagon? Sean Pender. I think some cartage companies, livery services, taxi companies, funeral homes are all out of control, and even some car dealers. Yes, recently I heard somebody accuse me of saying that I worked or I was in some way connected with Solozzi Edelson uh, Chevrolet. I never was, never went in there. It was very, very different. I bought my Lincolns from Barron's Lincoln Mercury on the north side of Chicago. And I never leased anything from Al Pamani or any of the other guys that were around. Ryan Brown. Red, was Milwaukee still alive when his nephew Pat was killed by Frank Schweiss? No. And I'm sure that's one of the main reasons why he was killed by Schweiss. Phil died in 72. Pat was killed in 1986 or 87, if I'm not mistaken. No, Phil would have never stood still for that. Phil would have killed Schweiss. No way. He wouldn't have let it happen. Most of these people are cowards. Really, seriously. Now you're talking about full features, Scott. They weren't. I know what you're talking about. Misty, Rebecca. When swap the equipment, Red didn't take care. I don't know who O is. Swap the equipment. Red didn't take it out on me. I just say just doing. Okay. You're just doing your job. No, I didn't take it out on the employees. Never did. Anybody. If I wanted somebody, I'd go after the boss. And the bosses didn't want to mess with me. For some reason, they didn't think it was a good idea. Maybe it was the company I kept. Your excuse is typos, huh, Miss? We have Nick Perez in here. How am I? I'm doing good, Nick. What are stag films? They're 15-minute shorts. Silent. That's what I used to make years ago. How much did Hugh Hefner have to pay to get left alone from the Rush Street crew? I have no idea. But they got involved in some cocaine and some other things. Marshall Cafano and I both went to see him a couple times. We're in Playboy After Dark. And Marshall was trying to get money out of him. And he took off and went to California. That was it. Ryan Brown, thank you, Red, for always answering my questions. Also, much respect to you, Red, for keeping it real and saying you don't know about something when you don't. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. Keith Elton. Red, how'd you say Joey L? Red, how'd you and Joey L get along? Quite well. Extremely well. Never a crossword. I respected him, he respected me. We treated each other like gentlemen. That's just the way it was. Trace, you met Hugh Hefner? I never shook his hand. I was standing in the same room next to him when Capano was next to him. That's the way it went. Wasn't Gonski involved with Patsy R? And wasn't the killing related? Yes, it was. Paul Gonski owned Festival Inc., which was the Three Penny Cinema and several other movie houses. Plus, they owned the Bijou Theater. And Paul Gonski was a partner, along with Jeff Bagan, and they made Steve Tushin a partner. And Steve Tushin somehow got with Schweiss and decided they were going to get rid of the other two because they didn't want to give up any money. After all, Steve didn't have a dime when he came to Chicago from New York. He didn't have one dime. At 18 years old, 19 years old, he was a full partner. And he was making a lot of money. Ryan Brown, thank you, Red. I'm 40 years old. I'm 40, and I've heard the term stag films, but didn't know what they were. Probably at 40 years of age, you didn't, because they're really old. Michael Graham, Red, can you help? I can't help it, but love your story about Bazaar. Yeah, Chief. I'll never forget it either. Well, anyway, it's been a great Monday. I want to thank every one of you for stopping by. I know you hit the like button, folks, because you're a great crowd. Thank you so much. And all good things come to an end. And this is one of the good things. So I'll see you. God bless you. And have a good week.
The combination of the videotapes, and we met.
Oh, that was short.
The combination of the videotapes and Wemette's testimony resulted in the conviction of two men on extortion charges. One of them was Frank Schweiss, known in syndicate circles as the German, a feared mob terrorist and a suspect in a number of gangland murders.
He was described to me by other outfit individuals as the most feared hitman. And as he said to me, my reputation precedes me, son.